folks, as you get settled in whatever room in your house that you might be in, I want to just welcome everybody. This is our class of 2025, believe it or not, 8th grade pre-registration night. So I'm Bob Nolting. I'm the current principal at Andrew High School. And you probably see on your screen, I have a few folks joining me. Actually, I'm joining them, I think, tonight. So Tim Dalton, our assistant principal of student activities. Michelle View, our guidance director.
Good evening.
Brian Nolan is our associate principal of pupil personnel services. And then Miss Abir Othman is our assistant principal of instruction. But as we're going to talk about in a moment, she's going to be your principal next fall. So I just want to spend a moment from that's going to ruin the whole performance if you can't see my face. So Mr. Dalton, if we can make sure these folks could see my lovely face, that'd be wonderful. I apologize.
I think they have to click on participants, or there should be an icon on there where they can see the face, and then as you speak, who's ever speaking, their face pops up.
All right. Before I get going into a little bit of a welcome, just for those of you who might benefit from translation services, if you go to the chat feature on the bottom portion of our message, there is information to kind of guide you towards translation services in Arabic, Spanish, or Polish, if that would suit your needs. But I'm just going to give a very brief welcome and get going, because there's a lot of meat and potatoes tonight that I want to make sure we get to. So I'm not going to take a ton of time, but I do want to obviously just say welcome, and I apologize that we have to do this virtually. Obviously, we're all holding out hope that we're able to migrate back into a live space, and I'm fairly confident we'll get there sooner than later. However, tonight's not the night, so we appreciate you being patient with our format, and know that we're hopeful that as we meet you in the beginning of the year in August, we're not doing it on television cameras. We're doing it in a live space. The three things I just want to say as a part of my welcome is this is a very important piece of the process, and those of you that are doing this for the very first time, we know that there's a lot of nerves, right? We know that there's a lot of anxiety and questions unanswered. And frankly, this format probably didn't help those and maybe made them a little bit worse. But understand this, you know your kid. We know our system. We know the classes that your kid might be talking to you about. We know that the support services that we have to make sure that they are successful. And we know what we could do really, really well as a school. And we've got a long track record of doing exceptionally well on behalf of your kids. But you have a role in this too. You know your kid, you've been part of their life throughout. So how you navigate the course selection process, or you have decisions to make about activities or what have you, just realize that we're here to consult, we're here to guide, we're here to give information. We might encourage too, but we want to make sure that you're an active partner in the process. So be willing to be part of the dialogue, be willing to ask questions. Know, particularly with our format, know that you need to reach out to us if you do find yourself stuck, because the last thing we want you to do is just take an educated guess, take a flyer, and then come the fall, it's not something you really wanted to do. So reach out via email. I'm pretty confident in some of the slides you'll get some connections to email, but there's always the website. The second thing is, and I think I said this before, and I just want to reiterate it as you go into the next phase of this process, is we really want you to balance challenge and interest. School should be a really awesome experience for kids to both challenge themselves, push themselves a little bit, find out what they're really good at, maybe struggle a little bit and see how resilient they could actually be. And maybe try something new that they haven't ever done before, whether it's a club activity, a class. Sometimes the most important part of high school is showing you what you were good at that you didn't really know that you would be good at. And the other thing is high interest. If you could marry those two concepts of challenging, having your kid be challenged, but also having your kid be exposed to things that are high interest for them. You know, we have a very comprehensive high school, and that's one thing that throughout my 12 years now here at Andrew High School, I've been exceptionally proud of the fact that we have a lot of things. I can't say we have everything, but we have darn near everything for almost everybody, and we'll find a spot for you. But because we have so much, it's sometimes hard to navigate. So again, it brings me back down the road of you need to reach out. You need to be okay with asking questions, because you should know that we're okay answering questions. So so those two concepts, I really want to have you kind of in the back of your mind as you're getting all these nuances and details tonight, and throughout the next couple of weeks when you come in or virtually come in and actually register for classes, which is a big culminating activity for everybody here. So the third thing I do want to do is and it's somewhat bittersweet for me, because if you are a returning family, and you may know this, but if you don't, I will not be here next year for your freshmen, but I will be close. I will be nearby. I'm going to be shifting down the road to our district office to serve as the superintendent of our district next year. So although I will be adopting the blue and the gold and the blue and the orange, I will still be bleeding black and gold, but that brings me to the person who will be serving as your principal, and I'm very proud to introduce her. I've already introduced her as the assistant principal, but I'm proud to introduce her and let her welcome you herself, the principal next year, not yet, Mrs. Othman, next year, Ms. Abir Othman. So it's my pleasure to introduce her to you and give her the opportunity to welcome you as well.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Nolting. Very excited to be with you here tonight. Your students obviously are going to be our first class together. So we're going to have definitely a great experience with our incoming freshmen. We're very excited to have you here tonight. As part of, this whole process, living through it, I've had 3 children already that have gone through, and each one is different. And that's what we want you to know at Andrew High School. We really understand and recognize individuality. And so we'll be working very diligently over the next few years with your student to make sure that they as an individual are being recognized. And part of the experience tonight is we know your role, you're the expert, and we're going to work through the electives that they choose. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on here tonight, as well as the electives process, the course selection process. But the main key is the value of exploration. We're excited that they're in an exploring process. We have one eye on the future and one eye on the present. It's a little bit early to get too caught up, but we want to just make sure that they understand there's no T-Bolt profile. Every kid has a different plan. There's no one way. And we look forward to seeing their growth and what they decide to choose. And it's okay if they change their mind from this year to next year. That's part of the process. And we're here to support. We're here to provide any help to you as well as them. We understand all of us that are on here tonight, our parents, we know exactly what you're going through. And our goal is to take away any of the nervousness or uncertainty that comes with this process. We're excited for all the ambitions and all the goals and all the thoughts that are coming through the 8th grade class. And we're super excited to have you. So welcome to the freshman class for next year. We're super excited for you. At this time, I'm going to have Mr. Nolan take us into the next segment. Also, please know that we will provide opportunities for question and answer. So if anything came to mind as both Dr. Nolting and I were talking, Ms. View, who will talk after Mr. Nolan, will explain our next sessions for the evening. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. I too would like to welcome you to Andrew High School. We're excited to have our next year's freshmen with us. And thank you for your patience with the process. We've been working hard to make it as understandable as possible in this kind of difficult time. So thank you for your patience too. I'm going to start with the placement process. It's a pretty simple process this year. Your sons and daughters were placed into recommended courses based almost solely on their 8th grade teacher recommendations. In most years, we have a PSAT exam, a placement exam as well, but this year, because of the pandemic, we don't have that. We did not have that exam. And so our division chairs have met with our sender schools to have very long conversations and thorough conversations about where each of your sons or daughters would probably excel most in our placement process. One of our breakout sessions when we're done is about the placement process. It goes into a little more depth about our different levels, honors, academic, AP, instructional, and our division chairs will be there to answer questions. Typical 8th grade registration questions range from what are the difference between levels to how different is an honors class from an academic class, things like that. So our division chairs are here just a little bit later on this evening to help you with those questions if you have them. If you got your placement letter and your classes are pretty straightforward and you think you're good to go, there's no need to stick around for that session. People should have gotten their placement their placement letters by now. That letter should include recommendations for English, math, science, and social studies. If by chance you didn't receive your placement letter, we'd ask that you log on to Skyward and you can find your placements, your course recommendations in Skyward using your new login information. Keep in mind that students who are serviced under an IEP received a letter with their course selections, and their course selections were based on their most recent IEP meeting. We also have some academic support courses. There may be some of you that in that placement letter saw that your student was recommended not only for math, English, science, and social studies, but potentially a couple other classes that may or may have not looked familiar to you. Like I said earlier, some students are recommended, some students have IEPs, and so you may see some classes that are on there based on your student's IEP. Some students have what's called co-taught. If you have a recommendation for co-taught, it's simply a way to say that your student is going to be in a room that has 2 teachers. There's typically one teacher going through content while the other teacher is able to kind of walk around and support students with the different concepts while they go. Having 2 teachers in a room is very beneficial. So if you have a recommendation for co-taught, that's all that means. And then some of you have recommendations for what's called an extended class. That means you could have an extended class in math and or English. An extended class is simply that. It's basically the regular length of a class plus another half hour opposite lunch to come back to that class for another 30 minutes of work. And so if I have extended math, half of my lunch is also dedicated to math with that teacher as well. Same goes for English. There are some students that have both extended math and English. When that happens, instead of trying to finish the other half in lunch, we do 1.5 classes of math followed by 1.5 classes of English, or vice versa, to equal 3 classes total. Know that if you have extended math and English, they take up 3 spots in the day, and so you won't have as many open spots to select elective courses. If you have questions about IEPs, co-taught, extended classes, anything like that, I'd encourage you to stick around for any of the sessions afterwards. The last item that I'll talk about is graduation requirements. As incoming freshmen, my main piece of advice would be don't worry about requirements. You do have to pay attention to what classes you're taking, but as far as total credits you're going to need to graduate, your students will get those fairly easily over the 4 years. They'll work closely with their school counselor to make sure not only that they're taking the right classes, but that they're meeting all of the requirements as they go through their 4-year plan. The graduation requirements, if you're interested in looking at them, are found in your welcome booklet, and they're also found in the course selection guide on both our website and the district website. Next, I'd like to introduce our new guidance director, Mrs. Michelle View, to walk you through a few more items as they relate specifically to what comes next. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, class of 2025. I'm excited to have you here tonight in this virtual setting and look forward to providing you with some additional information and supporting you in this process as we prepare your students to become freshmen at Andrew High School. So between now and your registration appointment, I want to walk you through some steps that you will need to take. So it's almost decision time. For those of you who were able to join us at open house, you received a folder with a lot of important information. It's time to bring that information out and to start exploring and going through that information. If you were unable to attend our open house or you misplaced some of that information, please know that all of the information provided is available for you on our Andrew Class of 2025 website. All documents that have been mailed home, all documents that were presented at open house are all available on that website so that you can access them at any time. Okay. To help support you in this process, by using the documents in our website, your next steps are going to be to activate your Skyward account. I noticed in the chat box, some asked questions about not receiving their documents or Skyward information, and we will support you in that. Please note that if you have a current student at Andrew, your letter for your Skyward login information was blank. So if you do have a current student right now, your next step is going to be to contact our technology office, and they will assist you with linking your current student and your new student to your Skyward so you can move forward in the process. So our next step is going to be selecting courses. Mr. Nolan talked a little bit about the placement options and the core courses that you received, and then you heard about exploring and taking courses and finding courses that are interesting to you. On our website, we have different elective options. Our freshman teachers of electives have put together some videos, some brochures so that you can see what courses are about and explore those courses. There's also our course selection guide, which has a detailed description of every course. For students who have older siblings or friends that are already at Andrew, I really encourage them to read about the courses themselves and to pick classes based on their interest and not necessarily the ones their siblings like or their friends are taking. This is really their time to get involved in courses that are of interest to them and taking classes that are going to help them on their journey for their next path after high school. Our Welcome to Andrew booklet that was also available in open house is on our website as well. And those documents are going to help you select courses. Between your registration appointment, so in order to schedule your registration appointment, you are going to need to activate your Skyward account. By activating your Skyward account, the instructions that you received will notify you how to schedule an appointment for your counselor. So registration appointments are going to be taking place on February 3rd, 4th, or 6th. Registration appointments are going to be a 10-minute appointment with a counselor who will walk through the courses you were recommended for, answer any questions you have, and support you in the process of selecting your electives. It's very important between now and your registration appointment to utilize those resources, take notes, and write down classes that you are interested in. Okay? The more prepared you are for your counselor appointment, the better they can support you and answer the questions you have to assure the classes that you want get in your requests for next year. Okay? With these registration appointments, you'll note that they're the 3rd, 4th, or 6th. Please know that these appointments do not lock in who gets courses first. I know oftentimes we think back to college days or past, you want to get in line first and select your courses. These appointments are to put in requests. So if your appointment is the first one on the 3rd, you will have equal opportunity to get the courses you request as those that may be the last on February 6th. So it does not matter which time your appointment is, please select the time that is best for you. And during that time, your counselor will pick your requests, talk to you about the courses that you are interested in, and enter those into Skyward for you. After you meet with your counselor, you will receive a document that gives you the information on the courses you selected during your appointment time. Okay? So you will have a record of that. And when you receive that record, you can feel free to contact the guidance office if you have any questions on your appointment that you need follow up with. During the appointment, we're also going to ask for alternate courses. So ideally, your student will get placed on their first choice courses. We looked at our traditional core courses. Oftentimes, students are selecting language, social studies, or other electives. We're also going to ask that your student explore alternate courses should those courses not work in their schedule. So if you're looking at your student's schedule and they have space for 2 electives, have them really pick out 4 electives so that we can assure that they're getting courses that they are interested in. Okay. After the course registration meeting with a counselor, you will be receiving additional information in regards to health documents and residency. In the past, all of this information was collected on our 8th grade registration date. However, a lot of our documents have gone to virtual. So we are providing families resources to submit documents electronically so that you can be more efficient with doing so. And we're also looking at ways to support you should you need help with technology. So please make sure that you utilize the technology resources, the guidance office, should you need assistance with accessing and submitting any of the documents. On this slide, you're going to see our contact information. So the guidance office, all of the mailings and the website that you see, that information is coming from the guidance office. If you have questions on any of the documents or did not receive documents, please contact us in the guidance office and we will support you in getting connected with the information that you do need. Okay. Our main office is a great resource to call should you not know who you need to talk to. They can answer your questions and then put you through to the correct resource. I mentioned our nurse's office with health documents. Our nurse office, if you have questions about your student's health condition or would like to talk further with our nurse, please feel free to contact her. She will help support you. Also, if you need help with community resources to do things such as physicals or sports physicals, getting you prepared for high school, she can provide you with those resources as well to support you. And then finally, our technology office. We realize that a lot of our information is virtual. We're meeting with you virtual and putting these documents and services together virtually. If there are things that you need support with, our technology office is there for you. Please reach out to them and they will get back to you to guide you in that process. Finally, to go further over placement information, general questions, as well as special services, we have some breakout sessions for you. Okay. So after this meeting, I've mentioned multiple times our website. It is a great resource. We will drop that direct link into the chat box for you. That is where you can find all of the documents that have been mailed and are available through you with this process. Immediately following this session, we are going to put into the chat box 3 different Zoom links for sessions to answer additional questions you have. The first link that you are going to see is session A, which is a placement and course level information presentation. We strongly encourage you, if you have questions about placement, if you would like to learn more about academic versus honors courses or elective information, please join immediately the placement and course level information session. In that session, our division chairs are going to give an approximately 15 to 20 minute presentation and then answer general questions that you have. Okay. If you do not have placement questions at this time, but have general questions that you would like to ask about documents that have been sent home, technology, please pop over to our general question session. And then finally, if you have questions, if your student has an IEP or you have questions about special services, we also have our department chair, Ms. Cheryl Russell, who will be available in our special service question Zoom link to help support you. Okay. Additionally, we had put at the beginning of our session our translation services. We're going to add that again on the link for you. Should families need translation services, you can reach out to them and they will support you in getting you connected with this. We are very excited to welcome you to Andrew High School. We know that it's a lot of information. Those families who have older students already with us, this process looks very different. We're learning it together. We're here to support you in everything that you're doing, and we thank you for joining us this evening.